There is a bird in your backyard right now that knows your face, not your species, not just the general shape of a human. You specifically. It knows the sound of your back door opening. It knows the rhythm of your footsteps on the patio. And the moment you stepped outside this morning, it told every other bird within hearing distance exactly who had just arrived. Most people will live their entire lives never realizing that the birds around their home have been talking about them for years. Today I am going to show you what they have been saying, and once you hear it, you will never look at your backyard the same way again. Before we get into the calls, and the songs, and the strange little signals, I want you to keep 3 things in mind as you listen. First, there is one particular sound your birds make that is, quite literally, about you. Not the cat, not the hawk. You. Second, there is a behavior that means a bird has decided you are safe, and almost no one notices it when it happens. And third, there is a kind of silence in your yard that is far more important than any song, and once you learn to hear it, you will start to notice it in places you never expected. Hold on to those 3 things. We will come back to all of them. Let us start with the most common sound you hear when you step into your yard. That sharp, repeated chip, chip, chip. Sometimes a high, thin whistle, sometimes a metallic ticking. If you have ever wondered why birds suddenly get loud the second you open the door, this is your answer. That sound is an alarm call, and it is doing something much more specific than you think. When a bird gives an alarm call, it is not just shouting danger, it is encoding information. The pitch, the speed, and the duration of the call all describe the kind of threat present and how close it is. A slow, low call might mean a perched hawk far away. A fast, high call usually means an immediate ground predator, like a cat. And here is the part that surprises most people. There is a specific kind of alarm call that is reserved for humans. Not all humans, a general one. But many backyard species, including chickadees, jays, robins, and crows, modify that call slightly when a specific human appears. Researchers at the University of Washington proved this in 2008 with a study where they wore masks to capture crows. Years later, the crows still scolded the same masks, even when worn by people who had never harmed them. Crows do not just remember faces. They tell other crows about the face, and those other crows pass it on. Pause for a moment. Think about your own yard. Is there a bird that always seems to call out when you come outside, but stays quiet when your neighbor does? You are not imagining it. That bird has a file on you, a very small file, but a file nonetheless. Now, not every sound is an alarm. Some of the most beautiful songs in your backyard are not warnings at all. They are declarations. A male cardinal singing from the top branch of your maple tree is not greeting the sunrise. He is drawing a fence around his territory in sound waves. Every note is a property line. Every repetition is a renewed claim. The birds you hear most clearly in the early morning are almost always males announcing 2 things at once. This space is mine, and I am healthy enough to defend it. The reason this matters to you is simple. When a cardinal, or a wren, or a song sparrow keeps singing from the same spot in your yard every morning, your yard is part of his territory. He has chosen it, he believes he can defend it, and by extension, he believes you are tolerable. You have, without even knowing it, passed a small audition. Speaking of that, I am curious. What is the bird you see most often in your yard? The one you would recognize without even thinking about it. Drop the name in the comments. I read them, and later in this video I am going to tell you exactly what 3 of the most common backyard birds reveal about your yard. So it will be interesting to see if your bird matches the description. Now let us move to one of the strangest categories of bird sound, and probably the one with the most personality. Food calls. When a bird discovers a reliable food source, like your feeder, it makes a sound. Not always a loud one, sometimes just a soft conversational chirp. This sound is, in a sense, an invitation. But it is also, in some species, a kind of accidental advertisement, a sound the bird cannot help making when it is excited or satisfied. Watch your feeder for a few days, and you will notice something remarkable. There is a hierarchy. There is an order. Certain birds always wait. Certain birds always push in. Blue jays will often arrive, make a single sharp call, and clear the feeder of smaller birds, only to land and eat in peace. Chickadees almost never push. They take a single seed and fly off to a branch to eat it alone. Cardinals are surprisingly polite, often waiting until other birds have left before approaching. Mourning doves do not seem to fit any rule at all, and will simply land in the middle of everything, looking confused. And here is the part that connects back to you. The way the hierarchy works at your feeder reveals a lot about your yard. A feeder with many small, fearful visitors, and very few bold ones, often means there is a predator presence nearby, possibly a hawk perched somewhere unseen. A feeder with strong, bold visitors and longer stays usually means the yard feels safe. The birds are voting with their behavior. You just have to learn to read the ballot. Let me tell you something that I think will stay with you. There is a researcher, a man named Joe Hutto, who once raised a flock of wild turkeys from eggs and lived among them in the woods for over a year. One of the things he wrote about, which I have never been able to forget, is the moment he realized that the turkeys were not following him. They were including him. There is a difference. Following is obedience. Including is recognition. And one of the small joys of backyard birding is that, over time, the birds around your home stop fleeing from you and start including you. Not as one of them. They are not confused about what you are, but as part of the landscape that belongs to them. A tree that moves, a safe rock, a predictable shape that has never, in any of their memories, caused harm. Which brings me to the second thing I asked you to hold on to, the behavior that means a bird trusts you. It is almost never dramatic. Birds do not perch on your shoulder out of love. What they do, when they begin to trust you, is much subtler. They stop flying away when you walk by. Then, eventually, they stop pausing what they are doing. A truly trusting bird will continue eating, continue preening, continue calling, while you walk within a few feet of it. That is the signal. Not approach, not contact. The decision to ignore you completely. In the language of wild animals, being ignored is one of the highest forms of trust. And it is earned slowly, by moving predictably, by making the same sounds at the same times, by never ever lunging or chasing. The birds at your home are watching your behavior far more carefully than you are watching theirs. They keep a running score, and they update it every single day. If this is starting to change the way you see your own backyard, do me a small favor. Tap the like button. I know everyone says that on every video, and after a while it just sounds like noise. But here is why it actually matters for this kind of content. Videos about real bird behavior, the quiet kind, the patient kind, do not spread on their own. They get pushed forward by people who genuinely care. A single tap from you tells the platform that someone out there actually wants to understand the birds in their own yard, not just watch flashy clips. That is the only reason I can keep making these. So thank you, sincerely, if you do. Now we come to the third thing I told you to remember: the silence in your yard. This is the part most people never learn to hear, and I think it is the most important thing in this entire video. When your yard suddenly goes quiet, when the chatter stops, when the chickadees vanish, when the cardinal in the bush goes still, something has changed. Birds rarely go silent without a reason, and in most backyard settings, the most common reason is the presence of a predator the birds can see but you cannot. Usually a hawk, sometimes an owl, even in daytime, sometimes a neighborhood cat moving in a way that has caught their attention. Try this. The next time your yard goes unexpectedly silent, do not move. Just watch. Look at where the birds were a moment ago. Look at where they are now. They will often be tucked deep into the densest cover available, frozen, completely still. And if you scan slowly and patiently, you will sometimes spot what they spotted. A Cooper's hawk sitting motionless on a fence, a red-tailed hawk on a high branch, something the entire population of your yard had already noticed long before you did. The silence is the alarm. And here is something almost no one mentions. Once you learn to feel that silence, you start noticing it in other parts of your life. In conversations, in rooms, in the strange moments when something is wrong, but no one has said anything yet. Birds taught humans to pay attention to silence thousands of years ago. We have just forgotten the lesson. So how do you, as the person who actually lives in this yard, become part of the landscape that the birds trust? There are a few small things that work surprisingly well. First, keep your routines consistent. Birds learn schedules. If you refill the feeder at roughly the same time each day, they will start showing up before you do. Some bird keepers report that their birds gather at the kitchen window precisely when the kettle goes on inside, having learned the sound. Second, move slowly when you are near them. Not unnaturally slowly, just smoothly. Sudden movement is the universal language of predators. Smooth movement is the language of everything else. Third, talk to them. I know it sounds strange, but a soft, calm human voice, repeated often, becomes part of the soundscape. Birds quickly learn that your voice is not associated with threat. Some birders develop signature little phrases that their backyard birds come to recognize. There is no magic word. It is the repetition that matters. And fourth, and this one is the most important, give them cover. A single small shrub near your feeder can completely transform the behavior of your backyard birds. They need somewhere to retreat to. A yard with food but no cover is, to a small bird, a trap. A yard with food and cover is a home. Earlier, I promised I would tell you what the 3 most common backyard birds reveal about your yard. Here they are. If your most frequent visitor is a house sparrow, your yard is well integrated with the human environment, close to buildings, probably warm in winter. If it is an American robin, you have healthy soil, likely with worms and insects, which means the deeper ecology of your yard is in good shape. And if it is a black-capped or Carolina chickadee, you are doing something genuinely right, because chickadees prefer yards with a mix of trees, cover, and reliable food, and they only become regulars when the yard meets all 3 conditions. A chickadee that visits you daily is, in its own quiet way, a compliment. I want to leave you with one final thought. The birds in your yard are not background. They are not decoration. They are not noise. They are, in a very real sense, neighbors. They watch you. They remember you. They describe you to each other in a language we are only beginning to understand. They notice when you have not been outside in days. They have opinions about your dog, and some of them, The ones that have lived their entire short lives within the boundary of your yard will never know any human on earth besides you. That is a strange kind of intimacy, a quiet one, the kind that does not announce itself. But once you start to notice it, your backyard stops being a yard at all. It becomes a small, living world that has been quietly running alongside yours, sometimes for years. If you would like to keep learning to read that world, the subscribe button is right there. Next week, I am going to cover something I think is going to surprise you. The strange behaviors birds use specifically at night, and what they quietly reveal about the animals you never see in your yard during the day. I would love to have you back for that one. And before you go, I have one small request. Step outside tomorrow morning, even just for a minute. Stand still. Do not look at your phone, just listen. And when you come back, tell me in the comments what you heard. The first sound, the first movement, the first bird that noticed you. I am very curious what your yard is going to say. Take care of yourself, and take care of your birds.